Hello, and how are you today? Now then, we're going to do this. I wasn't going to do much more to this Wood Wizard, but I think we will. In the interest of whatever we're interested in, we are going to do a bit more. Right? We're going to put some big, giant mushrooms in here. I'm going to get on with it a bit quicker today, I promise, because we didn't make much headway yesterday. And that won't do, will it? Because you come here to see these pictures and not listen to me talking utter nonsense. Oh, I don't know though, you might like the nonsense, I don't know. But, anyway, Merlin saw the first, or part one of this video, and he actually told me to get on with it and to stop waffling. So that's what I'm going to try and do. You see? So I don't know if it's going to work because I do tend to waffle. A great waffler. Actually, that sounds like an exotic bird, doesn't it? A great waffler. I don't know if there is such a thing as a great waffler, probably. You have to Google that later. And we'll see. Now this character is, I don't know if you heard of the Green Man. Well, I'm not going to talk about the Green Man too much. It's up to you. If you want to find out about the Green Man, you can. I've actually drawn him in the past, and I should probably draw him again. But on this occasion, we're not going to worry too much about him. Fine fellow, there he is. Anyway, after I spoke to you yesterday doing this, I did pay a little visit to a scallywag, and I told him that I'd been talking about him, and he was not actually very happy about that. So you might find sometime today we might get an interruption, because like I said before, he's very highly strung and unfortunately practically useless in a battle scenario. But luckily he seems to come good at the last minute. But he's no good in the posturing stages of a battle. We call it the yay and yeah stages of a battle. You've all seen that, when two grown men square up to each other and just look at each other's faces, go, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the yell, yeah stage. And like I said, Excalibur's next to useless in that situation. But two grown men squaring up like that is kind of a funny sight to see anyway, really. Especially when they've got a bit older. And in their heads, they're probably 18 or 20. But in their bodies, they're not. And you hear things, oh, I'm going to knock your block off. Oh, but you so hard, you'll wake up next week. Or in another county or whatever it is, I don't know. I've never been able to do that very well. I've never been very convincing. No, I must admit, first sign of trouble, I'm usually out the door. By the time the second punch has been thrown, I'm at home at the fridge. worry about that. Don't you worry about that at all. Anyway, like I was telling you about, we had a visit from, I think there was in the end about 500 of them, trolls. And they've actually moved in and they've been here ever since. I don't mind because they're no trouble at all. And they live under the stairs. And it's kind of cute, like I said before, at night. And you've got, because they've all got like little lanterns they hang on their beds, on their little bunk beds, because they got to fit in under the stairs. And you've got all these little lights, 500 little lights. And all these goblins, and they actually do snore. But it's not like that raw rasping snore that human beings tend to make, which can be rather annoying. It's more musical. And sometimes they actually do get quite musical. What I'll have to try and do is I'll have to try and record it so I can play it to you. If you'd like that, I'm sure. Anyway, what happened on this occasion when they turned up? They'd had a bit of trouble where they came from. Now, I've got my book here. Now, this is my book. You see, I'll get you. Oh, there you are. See, there's my book. You can see it just briefly. And this is full of all the names and things. And it's like a journal, a diary. It's where I write down all my memories of things I've done and places I've been and all the sort of magical creatures I've known. I mean, it's got the witches there. I mean, you've got Pam Snap Turtle, Myrtle Mugwort, of course, Helen Nutty Witch, she's a good friend, Tamsy Knapweed, Angelica Bogtrotter, now that's a name to conjure with, Belinda Bat Crazy, another lovely lady, lovely witch I should say, Prissy Bagwinder. Anyway, I could go on, but then we actually, it was the festival of Pollywoggle where the trolls come from, and a giant had moved in and set up home. More or less overnight, he had built a great big castle right in the middle of the town square. And they weren't happy about that, as you can imagine. As you can imagine, they were not happy about that at all. And the thing is, they couldn't really do much about it, because this giant was about 90 foot tall. And he had a great big club called George. Now, why it was called George, I don't know. But it was. Or, well, it was anyway. It was something like George, I'm pretty sure. And anyway, he'd moved in and taken over the square, much to their annoyance. And they'd come to see Merlin. Now, in my garden, I didn't know this, there was an old armchair, been there for 30 years, and it had actual plants growing out of it. And it was in the corner, and it really was a bit of a garden feature more than a chair. I mean, you wouldn't want to sit in it. Well, I wouldn't want to sit in it. I mean, you might want to sit in it, but I wouldn't want to sit in it. Well, it's up to you if you want to sit in it. I'm just saying I wouldn't sit in it. But if you want to sit in it, you feel free. But the thing was, I mean, it was alive. There were all sorts of creatures living in that old chair. And I got a bit nervous, I've got to be honest with you, about even going anywhere near it, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyway, what I didn't know was that it was the magic chair, or it had been in the past, and it had actually broken down, but it could actually travel in time. I know, I didn't believe it. You could actually sit in this chair and you could wish yourself somewhere, and you'd be there. Now, I've only ever managed to do that after I've drunk copious amounts of alcohol, which I don't recommend you doing, by the way. That is a thing I did in the past, and it's kind of what led me to spend a rather distressing evening in the A&E department of the local hospital. But that is another story. But you ask Sally, oh, she'll tell you about that. That was a scary night. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject again. Now, then, so there's the things are linking up here. They will link up in the end. I have a hedge, quite a dense hedge in the spring, all around my garden, and it's basically to keep people out. And it is predominantly brambles and thorny bushes. Now, I didn't know, but there's a doorway, and I'd never seen it, but it opened one day, and out trots 500 of these trolls. I know, it was funny, it was exactly 500. And they were in, terrible state, going on about this giant that had moved it. Anyway, this giant's name, if I got to get this right now, he was Grib Nibbler, the giant. And he was called Grib Nibbler, the giant, the immovable, because you couldn't move him. He was such a big giant that once he stood his ground, he stood his ground. And those poor old trolls, they knew they weren't going to be able to do anything about him. So anyway, they come to see Merlin and see if he could help. Well, anyway, as it turned out, Merlin knew him. So Merlin rounded everybody up in a sort of show of force, which I thought was probably a mistake. But Merlin said he knew what was going on, and he said that's what we're going to do. So I'm not one to argue when it comes to the magic realm, because to be honest with you, I'm still a bit puzzled by it all. I still think it's something I ate, or it's something I drank once that's possibly still in my system. I hope it doesn't disappear, because I quite like living with all these goblins and folk. That's quite good fun. Very exciting it is. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. Anyway, so one morning we're amassed in my garden, and there's all the trolls in full battle dress, by the way, but very smart actually. Shields, helmets, hobnail boots, because they like their hobnail boots. They like their hobnail, but now a hobnail boot is like a boot with big hobnails in the sole of it. That's what I would call a hobnail boot. And there they were with their hobnail boots, full battle dress, ready to go to war with a 90-foot giant called Grib Nibbler. Now, so anyway, I said, well, I'll come along for the ride. I don't know if I'm going to be any good, but because I was actually given a unicorn to ride. And now I've never been one to ride anything like that at all. And but luckily this unicorn knew what he was doing, so that was all right. And I know, if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be riding on a unicorn into battle with a 90-foot giant, I'd say you were crazy. I mean, people would say that I'm actually crazy for even telling you this story. But anyway, we all charged off, and of course, I didn't know where we were going. It looked to me like we were going to go straight into the hedge. But as we got towards the hedge opened. And I thought, well, blow me. And that took us through to, I don't know what you'd call it. I know in Star Trek they would probably call it a parallel universe. So it was something like a parallel whatever, a different world, shall we say. Or it was the same world, but just in a different place. I don't know. Anyway, there we are. The next minute, you've gone through the hedge, which was quite a harrowing experience, because I've never been through a hedge. Well, I actually have been through a hedge, but I didn't remember much about it. And the only reason I know I'd been through it, because in the morning, I was on the other side of it, if you get my drift. Anyway, there we go. Well, there we are. Now, I was quite impressed with this castle, because I don't know how he did it, because it was only a matter of hours, really. But this castle was built in the town square of these trolls, and all their little hovels, or what you would want to call them, houses, were all around. And we've got this exciting situation of a great big castle with a wonderful garden with huge flowers. Now, I can't really describe them because I'd never really seen flowers like that before, but they were they were blue, red, green, yellow. Well, they changed colour. That was the most amazing form. They shimmered. And they changed colour constantly. And they were huge. I mean, even the trolls actually took a step back to have a look at that before they went charging off. Because I thought, well, this is not going to work out the way they want it to work out, because if somebody can build a castle like this in a matter of hours, they're not to be trifled with. You're not going to sort of mess about with them at all, are you? Let's be honest about the whole thing. So, anyway, I heard Merlin shouting, and I tell you what, I will tell you this. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to tell you. He could shout for England. He could have been a town crier. And if we ever want a town crier, he's your man, I'll tell you. Anyway, with that, this giant comes out. And he's been asleep, and he's yawning, he's stretching his arms. And he lets out this almighty yawn. And, well, I fell off the unicorn, much to the unicorn's annoyance, because he was embarrassed by that. Because he was supposed to be looking after me. I wasn't that happy about it, but luckily I was wearing a suit of armour, and I actually ended up upside down. And I got helped up by several of the trolls, which was very nice of them. And when I got to my feet, Merlin was in deep conversation with this giant Gribnibbler, or as he insisted on being called, Gribnibbler the Giant, which I don't know. I can't see the difference, but there we are. You're not going to argue with a 90-foot tall giant, are you? Well, not if you've got any bloody sense, you're not. So there we have it, you see. And the top and bottom of it all was that the trolls kind of liked the landscaping that he had done. And they decided that they were going to let him stay, which was kind of funny, because I didn't really think they had any choice in the matter. But it was one of those saving faces situations. So that's what happened basically there. And so, as far as I know, he's still there, this giant. Some of the goblins went back, but quite a few of them stayed with me and are still here. And like I said, they live under the stairs. But I mean, we do go back like for this party once. I went one year and it was fantastic. I mean, you actually literally had to be there to believe what you'd see. Because especially when you got 500 goblins in a line doing what I can only describe as river dance in hobnail boots. Fascinating. Anyway, so that's really that story of how I got the goblins living here, really. And there's sort of various different adventures we had. Because there's Edith, the chicken. See, on another occasion, went onto eBay and she bought, well, I don't know why she got it, I don't know how she got it, but she bought a second-hand submarine. I know. I've seen some things on eBay, but I have to be honest with you. Right then, oh, sorry about that. That was the security going off. Me security alarms are going off left, right and centre. I didn't know, but we were being attacked by the bog whoppets. Now, I don't know if you know what a bog whoppet is, but they're not very pleasant creatures, actually, bog whoppets. And that's because I don't know how they knew, because we probably got a spy in the camp. Well, that's what Merlin tends to think. Because they seem to know what I was doing and talking about, and somebody got upset somewhere about something I'd said. So that was the alarms going off. So, yeah, I know. It does actually sound very much like Thunderstruck by AC/DC, doesn't it? Funny enough, it's my ringtone as well on my telephone. But that was the alarm system going off, and it was about 30 bog whoppets. But the funny thing about a bog whoppet is they're terrified of ducks. And of course, luckily, there's 2 or 3 that live here. I refer to them most of the time as the dancing ducks with hats on, because that kind of sums them up. And they took one look at these dancing ducks with hats and they were gone. They were gone. I sorry, but like I said, because it got me in mid-flight, really. But I think we were roughly come to an end anyway. And I think, for the time being, this picture's run its course. And I'm going to say adios, amigos, till tomorrow. And then we'll see what else we come up with. And maybe another story. Because we've got a few. Now, I've said before, if you want to see anything else, it's Mark T. Rowe, ROWE search on YouTube, and that will bring up some other of my videos and my ramblings. But like I said, you can always turn the sound down and put your favourite piece of music on instead, and just watch the drawings. I won't be offended. Not at all. I don't do this to seek your approval, just to amuse. So there we are. Have a nice rest of the day and enjoy your Saturday. Bye for now.